It would have been man overboard for sure if I hadn't been there to save him," Gerhardt added, reaching out to steady Otto. Gerhardt was at least a foot shorter than Otto. It was comical to watch him try and catch his taller crewmate. "You're losing your touch, Henny," Gerhardt added as Otto fell on top of him and both men nearly crumpled to the floor. Henny laughed and quickly swerved the boat upwind in response, surprising the two and jolting them forward. Otto banged into the wall of the cabin. Far, from his position at the bow, turned and frowned at Henny. She quickly straightened out her course and waved to him. He returned to watching the water. "I know what I'm doing, and don't you forget it," Henny said. "Doesn't look that way to me," Otto replied, rubbing his arm. "I think we're going to have to teach her to sail all over again. Don't you agree, Gerhardt?" "All over again," Gerhardt echoed. Henny ignored them. The two men teased her all the time, but she really didn't mind. If Gerda was like a sister to Henny, then Otto and Gerhardt were like big brothers, annoying at times, but as close as family. Henny was an only child, so it was fun to pretend that this was what it would be like to have siblings. Even Far referred to them as the boys, though they were both at least 10 years older than Henny. But they had been working side by side on Gerda for so long that they were like one person, cleaning the deck, polishing the brass, raising the sails, repairing ropes, and doing whatever else was needed. Henny had learned as much about sailing Gerda from these two as she had learned from Far, though she would never admit that to him. Far suddenly appeared in the cabin by Henny's side. She gazed at him, tall and distinguished looking. He cut an impressive figure in his blue naval uniform with its shiny gold buttons and his dark hair tinged with gray tucked under his sailor's cap. His eyes were turquoise and attracted the light like two magnets. Henny had inherited the same deep blue-green eyes. She loved that she shared that feature with her father. Staring into his eyes was like looking at a calm sea, but not in this moment. Far's eyes looked troubled, and his brow crinkled. "Sorry about that, Far," Henny muttered. "We were just fooling around." The crew members stood behind her like two guilty schoolboys, heads lowered, hands behind their backs. Far didn't respond. He continued staring out at the horizon, his eyes fixed on some spot in the distance. "What is it, Far?" He was never distracted or unhappy out on the water. The sea was his peaceful place. Other things might agitate him, like balancing the accounts for the lighthouse, but never out here. "What's wrong?" Far still didn't respond, so Henny followed his gaze out onto the water, and that was when she saw it. Up ahead was a small boat, and at its helm, the flag of the Nazi Party, a black swastika against a blood-red background. The flag appeared and disappeared as the waves rose and fell, as if it were playing a game of hide-and-seek. The swastika was not an unfamiliar sight to Henny, or to any Dane for that matter. The Nazis had been in Denmark since 1940, when their army, under its leader Adolf Hitler, had marched into Henny's homeland and occupied it. The Danish government, led by King Christian X, had surrendered immediately, knowing that any kind of resistance against the powerful Nazi army was pointless. In return, Nazi Germany had rewarded Denmark for being so cooperative by allowing the country to keep its government in place. King Christian was still in charge. Far said that as long as the king was still in command, everything would be fine. And the king still rode his horse through the city streets on an almost daily basis, waving to his subjects as if to reassure them that all was well. So, even though Nazi troops had roamed the streets of Copenhagen for the last few years, and their flag could be seen flying from many buildings, Henny had mostly ignored them, and they ignored her and the rest of Denmark's citizens. But now, 3 years into the occupation, Henny could tell that things were changing for the worse. Here in Copenhagen, more Nazis